Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel, where tonight we're going to be playing Season 4's new map Flashpoint on Breakthrough, where we fight and die a lot in the smoke. But seriously, I like using Breakthrough on a new map because it brings a lot of structure that Conquest doesn't. It forces you to walk through the map in a structured way. So what are we doing here today? Why did I make this video? Well, simply put, I just want to share with you guys what I personally learned about playing with this map for an hour or so. Such as where those cool little hidey holes you just saw me use are to sneak up and flank enemy armor on the back line, and evidence that with some cool gameplay. I'm also really keen to tap into your knowledge. What did you see? What have you learnt by playing with the map? Please do leave comments or link any videos, yours or others, that are beneficial. As long as they help out the community to grow and promote the game, it's all good with me. Fire away. Breakthrough can be quite chaotic, and hopefully I've done a good job of breaking this down into an entertaining but structured format that you guys can all follow. So let's get into it. Let's get some gameplay. Have fun, guys. Alright, so let's kick off with Section A, which is extremely straightforward. So what you're seeing now is what I call the primary feed. This is the playthrough that we're going to follow all the way to the end of the video, where I started off in a Mav. We drove in on the bottom left corner. With a little bit of finessing, the driver got in so we could actually activate the capture. And we sat here and we utterly pounded the opposition because they didn't do anything about anti-armor. So while that's happening and playing out in the top left, here's an aerial view of Checkpoint A, Zone A. There's really nothing complex to it. There's no verticality, there's no underground passageway. What you see is what you get. I had to go on an alternate playthrough, which is what you're seeing now, where I went down on the right-hand side and then attacked at a 90-degree angle, which is quite good because you can put down the smoke to cover yourself. If there's any vehicles, you can just make sure you block line of sight, jump in, and catch them by surprise. So yeah, that was Section A. There's really not a lot to say. Section B is similar, but it's a bit more interesting. So coming back to the primary feed, I'm back in my Mav, and we've just moved to the bottom left of Section B, and we're going to try and break in the front door. Got picked off by somebody on the side, no problem. Let's try at the bottom right now and try that front door approach again. We have more luck this time. Okay, so I'm close enough to activate the capture now. So I have a rule that's very stupid: never leave a teammate behind.
I can't help you. Again.
Another good deed punished, but I regret nothing. Right, this time we drop in from a condor from the opposite side from the back, so now we're coming from the rear. Resisting the obvious EMP joke here. The driver bailed, but we took out the tank, which is the important thing, so press on, down into the valley now. Thankfully, he didn't see the insertion point, so back and I go where you left me.
We have secured the sector.
So here's one of the first important things to note about B, this little concrete hut. If you can get in here and put your insertion point, I swear, nobody sees you. I ran in and out of here for several runs. I'm not going to overdo it. Here's a couple gameplay examples. Every time I got killed, no one found my insertion point. I just went straight back in again. So just quickly, here's another way in. So if you're in a vehicle and you want to attack B, I recommend actually going very, very far to the left and following the dirt track that goes all the way around. One, it's very good for vehicles firing in. You can see B's right there, so just heading up around the left. And then also, there's quite a bit of sunken area where you can get in below line of sight and then come in at the enemy at a 90-degree angle. There are ladders that bring you up. Take a look. It's actually quite useful. So that's the other way into B. A and B are very straightforward, but C is where the fight starts to get quite difficult. So coming back to the primary feed, we're leaving B, and we're now moving up a high ridge, which will give you line of sight to the C capture point, but there's quite a distance between this ridge and C. So unless you've got missiles or unless you're playing sniper, this isn't a fantastic place to be, but I'm just going to show it to you in case you do and you're interested in being here. So there's C all the way in front of you. You can see I'm very, very far on the right-hand side there. So let's jump back to the front door. I'm going to jump into a map and let's take a look at the gameplay over here. So you can see as an attacker, we've got to run uphill here. And the thing to note is when you pop your smoke and run in, when you get to the base of the structure, you can see I've already activated the capture. So you don't even need to get over the wall into the main structure. You can just camp out on the bottom if you wanted to, but I wanted to have a bit of an explore and try and find some enemies to kill. So when I respawned, C had already fallen. So let's go take a look at an alternate one where the opposition put up a lot more of a fight. Here we're coming up the same uphill road, but we're in a tank and I'm using the mortar. So what I want to show here is just how powerful on C and D the mortar is. Just watch how it absolutely pounds the defenders.
Allies initiating.
Forgot to mention, on this alternate run I'm actually playing as Lee, so I pop out, repair the tank, and then when it's all ready and good to go, get back in and continue mortar pounding.
Look through!
Okay, finally time for the driver to push up and actually take the objective. Got a hit on the vehicle. I tried to lob over to see if I could catch it on the back line, but I missed it. Anyway, crack on, go back to C and start thinning out enemies.
You're beautiful!
Yes, Leeds, you're still beautiful to me, even if the bad people at DICE took away your 3.2 missiles. Sob sob. Right, hopefully got a good taste to see there. Let's have a look at D now, which is very much the heart of the map. 2 points to capture. D1 is a gas processing tower. D2 are 2 warehouses. So let's start with D2 because that's closest to C1 when you've captured it. Throw down some smoke, run up to the front door, and let's see what we've got inside.
Activating! Yeti! Gotcha! Our troops are moving to attack Delta 2.
So going into the warehouse where the capture point is, you'll see that there's lots of obstacles in the way, but on the right hand side is a walkway which lets you get the drop. The other thing to note here is the walls are fully destructible, which means you can get little flanks on the opponents like this. I do love C5 and being able to see through the walls. So here's an alternate approach. Instead of coming down the hill directly into the warehouse which needs capturing, this is running up the main road from C1 and going through the warehouse opposite and then crossing the road. Alright, so there's a tank right on top of me here and I don't have an EMP grenade, so get ready to laugh at me. I genuinely couldn't see the tank until I caught sight of the brake light. Now I know where you are. And now you can cross the road and go capture D2. Fantastic. The last thing to note is D2 actually has a glass ceiling, so for all you Mackie players or anybody jumping out of a condor on top of it, I get res in a second, don't worry, you can just shoot out the panels and drop in from the roof, which is again another way into the building. Very useful. So let's talk about D1, which I think is a gas storage tower. So when you drop in here close to your spawn point, you have this tower. You can use the zip wire that you see there if you wanted to get directly into the structure, or you can drop down and run at the base of it. And running at the base is useful for 2 reasons, which you'll see in a second. From here you've got 2 choices. 1, the door into the basement, or 2, you can use the elevator wire to go up to the top. So let's start by looking at the elevator wire. So when you go up, you'll notice you're immediately already capturing the objective, so being anywhere on this structure is good. Staying here is a safe place. If you go around and look, you'll see there's snipers on the back ridge, so you don't want to be staying on this very high platform because you're going to get picked off. Now I just hung out here for a minute to let people spawn on me and just try and figure out where I am and see if we could capture the objective, but eventually if you go and take a look down. You'll get a line of sight onto D1, and you can actually start fighting from here and start picking people off.
Get down! Need to reload!
So you can see how many people are up here capturing. It's quite difficult for the opponent to get up here. You just need to watch out for snipers. Like that guy. So go back in time. What if I'd taken the basement door? Well, close quarter fighting for you. Eventually you'll work your way to a stairwell that will take you out directly at the foot of D1. This is a good place to put insertion beacons as well if you want to, because you can just keep popping out of here. A little farther over to the right in the basement, if you'd have taken a different turn, you also get access to this area, which is another basement, a fantastic place to group up, put your insertion beacons, pop out up these stairs over here, and then go and challenge for D1. So there's lots of underground basement areas here that are very, very annoying for the defenders that you can just keep popping out of, keep harassing them, and keep making their lives difficult. If you can get a vehicle here as an attacker, which you're seeing on the primary feed, or a defender in the top left, this is also a brilliant place to be, because if you're attacking, the opposition has to run across you, and the building on the right really protects you from vehicles which are on the high ground. So it's very difficult to get shot. If you watch, we back up a little too much here and we start taking damage. There you go. Just move forward and you're protected again. Equally, if you're defending, you can make the lives of the people popping out of the hole really difficult. So this is a great place to get a vehicle. Now, my last little insight on D for you is what I call the sneaky route. If you come out of the warehouse at D2 and do a bit of a flank, so that's where the vehicle was just then, you can run around the back through this house at the back, and I just noticed that the opposition tended not to look this way, didn't really notice us, and it lets us get in behind and just cause them a little bit of a headache. It also gives you a good vantage point for blowing out any vehicles which might be parked at D1, which I just spoke about, so keep this route in mind as well. In the interest of time, let's move on from D and talk about the last section, Section E, and this is the one I think we need to talk about, and the devs might want to give some consideration to how they've programmed the ability to capture the final point. So, running on from that house at the back that I just outlined on the sneaky route, but there it is, that's the structure that you're after, and let me show you why I think this is a bit of a problem. So if you're on foot, don't go for the front door, go for the building where the smoke cloud is, and then use that zip wire that you can see to cross onto the main structure of E. Let's watch it in practice.
Stay focused. DMJ committed!
So you can see we're already capturing on the roof, and it's just too easy to put insertion points and get everyone to pile up in here.
We handled it!
So I get rezzed and then we win the round. So primary feed, go up to the left hand side please. Here's what it looks like in an alternative route had you gone through the front door. It's a great big hangar, and on the right as you go in there's a little office, which is a fantastic place to hide in and just make sure that you can get your bearings before moving on. I went to res my friend there, because that's the law, but they tapped out. But if you can get into this corner, you're completely protected, you can put down the equipment, it can even give you a bit of protection, and then just catch people as they run and shoot them in the back. It's a good place to hide. So, be it the primary or the alternate route that I was showing you, that's the victory, that's the win. And I did very well for me, actually. I think I got the highest number of captures and came 6th overall, so fantastic. Guys, thanks very much for watching. If you've got any feedback, I'd love it. And if you've got anything to share, any insights, anything to link, please do. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you on the next vid.